Salute to you all. The brave never fall. And I'm actually outdoors again. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning, and most of my inspiration comes in the morning. So I actually am at work. I work outside. I do landscaping, and next to me is a garden. And if you hear chickens, that's exactly what it is, chickens. But you know what? If we're gonna roll with it. It's gonna go with the atmosphere this morning because it's just too nice of a morning not to get this one in. And I feel like this message is important, as any message on the Brave Never Falls is important. But this one, I actually have been thinking about this topic a lot, especially over the maybe the past 6 months to a year. So I've been contemplating this for a long time because it's one of those things that we all feel for ourselves. We all feel like we're worthy of the best things in life. And we do get places, we go through things that challenge us, and we find ourselves feeling not worthy of the best things in life. Maybe because we did something wrong, maybe because we keep doing things right and no one notices, and we just feel we're destined not to have the best things in life, that we're not worthy of the best people and the best experiences and everything that comes into life and what people consider to be a normal life. I always felt like I was worthy of certain things, but I always felt like I was sabotaging everything that I was worthy of. I would go through these stretches where I would do things perfectly, quote unquote. If you know me, you know I do not like to use the word perfect. Wow. I don't like to use the word perfect. It's not something that I always feel is something that is obtainable. I've explained that before many times to so many people that the word perfect for me means an end of something, means I've reached something to its finality. And I never like to feel like anything in life is finite and something you can reach. Meaning, going back to being worthy, I always feel like to be worthy of something, that's an endless journey. You're always can be even more worthy of things that you have in your life, the people that you have in your life. You're worthy of so much more than what you give yourself credit for in most cases. I think everybody across the board, the most content person, has so much more that they're worthy of. And I always felt like the easiest way to connect with that sense of worthiness is about the people you have around you. And it's one of the biggest changes, I think, of all the changes I've made in my life. The biggest change I made in my life was surrounding myself with people, or excluding myself from people who are either worthy or unworthy to be in my life. Now, I know some people may say that's very narcissistic and selfish of you to say, but no, it's not. It's not when it's coming from a place of self-love and self-worth. When you have self-love, you will naturally gravitate towards people who have self-love themselves or desire to have self-love. You don't gravitate towards people who constantly want to pull themselves down into the dirt. If you do gravitate towards those people, you need to ask yourself why that is the case, why you're drawn to those people. Are you trying to help them? Is there something that you're doing that you don't even know that you're doing that is detrimental to your life, that is causing you to have an inclination to lean towards somebody that is not doing so well in life? I mean, obviously, family members, we can only do so much with them, but those are some of the hardest cases because you can't just say goodbye to them very easily. And close friends, they're like family. You can't say goodbye to them as easily as you can to people that you meet in the workplace, acquaintances, groups that you're in, just run-of-the-mill conversations that you have with people every day. You can say goodbye to those people very easily. It's the people that have the biggest influence on you that have an influence in you to the point where you feel like you can't even visualize your life without them, because you can't. In a lot of cases, you cannot have your life without them. They're a part of your life. I mean, your child is your child. It's very hard to say goodbye to a child. It's very hard to say goodbye to a parent, to anybody that's been in your life the majority of your life and has shaped you in for the good or the bad. They've shaped you to who you are now. The good thing about all that is that it's breakable. I feel when you're in life and you're trying to figure out who you are, and you're struggling, you're going to struggle. If you don't struggle when you're trying to figure out who you are, you're not doing it right. You're missing something in there, because the whole point of trying to figure out who you are is trying to figure out all those little crevices that go untouched, that go unnoticed. Those little crevices that you dig your way into, and you find things that you hadn't thought about, things you hadn't considered, things that had been affecting you that you had no clue about. That's finding yourself. And a lot of times the only way you can do that is you have to, in a way, attach yourself to other people who are doing the same thing. And it took me a long time to realize that was a method that would work for me. And I didn't realize it was working for me until after it was already working. It wasn't something that I planned. I just naturally started excluding negative people out of my life. People who were not worthy enough to be in my life for myself, for the self-love I have for myself. I knew the people that I wanted in my life that would help me, and the people who weren't. I got tired of being put into a category with other people who weren't doing the right things. When you're young and you don't know any better, it's one thing. When you become an adult and you become a father and you become a husband, it gets to be to the point where you get tired of being associated with other people because their stigma gets imprinted on you. You start picking up their behaviors. You start picking up their patterns because they're entrenched in your life. You spent so much time with these people, you really do feel like you are who you are. And that's natural. You're a human being. You spend time with someone, you're going to develop patterns and routines and disciplines that may not be the best for you. Or maybe they were at the time and you've changed to something else. You want to do something different. You want more for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody tells you that it is, they don't know you that well then. They don't know you as well as they thought they knew you. Because nobody has the right to tell you who you can and cannot have in your life if you feel like it's better in your life. Or if you feel like it's not. It's your life. I've always said this. The decisions you make are your decisions. If you love doing things that other people consider to be a detriment in your life and you love it, that is your choice. You have to live with it. But this message is focused on the people who are trying to add value to their life, not devalue their lives. There are so many people in this world you can associate yourself with very easily, especially with social media now, but even in person. There are so many people you can associate yourself with that are adding value to not only their lives, but other people's lives already, that you could just easily turn it around far quicker than we ever could in the past. I've said it 1,000 times. These podcasts are meant for basically the old me. If I could go back in time and listen to these podcasts I'm making right now, I'm talking to my former self. And I'm manifesting better things to my future self through these podcasts. And I'm hoping I'm helping people along the way. But the message I always try to get to people the quickest when I'm trying to help people is that you have to start inward. And people always ask me, well, what was your starting point? My starting point, without me even really realizing it, was eliminating people, places, and things out of my life that were negative, that did not add any value to my self-worth. And the second question was, wasn't that hard? Of course it was hard. That's how I knew it was right, because it was so hard. If it was easy to discard these people and walk away from some of these relationships and some of these jobs that I had and all these negative habits that I had, my unfocused discipline, my semi-narcissistic behavior, only worrying about myself but not really caring about myself to a point, worrying about wrong things, worrying about material things, overthinking about money, allowing my entire life to control me and me not having control of my mind and my body. Of course it was hard. That's how I knew it was right. Every time I had to walk away from a relationship or a workplace, it was extremely difficult. And I loved it because I knew it was the right decision. And I knew it would change me. The harder it was, I knew it would change me. I needed to do that. I needed it to be as hard as it could possibly be. You're never going to change anything if you're floating on air. You have to hit rock bottom. You will not experience the change if you don't really feel the change. You have to feel it to your core. That change has to rock you. It has to make you think harder about anything you've ever thought about. It has to make you question whether or not you're going to make it out of this decision you made for yourself. It's going to have other people judge you a way that they've never judged you before. It's going to have people doubt you in ways they've never doubted you before. But once you're in it, you have no choice but to fight back. Once the decision is made, you've made it. And now you have to live with it one way or the other. I saw no downside with leaving a job that I hated, that was causing me unnecessary stress. I saw no reason to stay in a relationship that was going absolutely nowhere, and nobody really knew who I was in those relationships. I don't care if it's a spouse, a friend, or mother, or father, uncle, daughter. It does not matter. If something needs to change, it needs to be changed, and you need to do it immediately. At least start the process immediately. The process of change may take a long time, but be assertive in starting the process. That was something I really latched on to, and now it's a discipline of mine. Choose people who are worthy of your self-worth. It's just that simple. And be assertive in it. If that means if nobody you know is worthy of, then you just are going to be alone for a while. I know because I did it. I was alone for a very long time. People thought there was all these people in my life because I'm very friendly and I'm nice to people, but for the most part I was alone. I was alone in myself probably for a couple years, just working on myself. I had people around me. I had people who I thought loved me. But I was becoming very self-aware that the only person I could really count on to love me as much as I want to be loved is myself. And I would be foolish to think that anyone loved me as much as I love myself, because it has to start with me. If I just knew if I didn't find a place where I love myself, how could I possibly expect anybody else to love me if I don't understand how to love myself? What is that saying about the relationships that I have? That I'm relying on other people to love me so I can love myself? Or can I just do it on my own? If everybody left this planet right now and I was here by myself, would I be able to survive without people? That was a question I had to ask myself. It's all about patterns. You fall into a rhythm and a pattern of life, and it gets comfortable, and you start rolling. It's like a locomotive, and you're just going, you're going, and going. A locomotive has a path. Can't turn around. It can only go forward. It can back up, but it's going to eventually go forward again. It has a designated route. It's only so many places a train can go. And that's how I felt most of my life. I felt like a train. A pattern, just over and over and over again. The same people getting on and off. Same scenery you pass. And I got sick of that scenery. I wanted to get off the ground. And it's funny because I've never flown in a plane before in my life. Hopefully that'll change soon. But I wanted to get off that damn train and get in a plane and start changing my trajectory. Start changing my dimensions. Start changing the patterns. Now I can go anywhere I want in the world. I'm not attached to the ground. I'm not relying on the same people to get on and off in this same little part. A train can't cross the ocean. What happens when the ground sinks beneath you? The train's going to go right along with you. The plane, you're in the sky. You're free. You can go anywhere. That's what I love about again, I apologize for the chickens, but this one had to be done right now, so strike me up for bad timing on this one, but these chickens are really going crazy right now. But that's what you need in life. You have to have the perspective of what you want to do for yourself first, and break those patterns that you've gotten comfortable with. And make sure that when you break the patterns that you don't enter into new ones too fast. Explore. Have fun exploring all the different possibilities, all the different patterns, all the different rhythms of life, all the different types of people, all the different cultures, all the different spiritualities. There's so much to explore. You have to fill your mind with knowledge. A lot of times people get stuck because they don't know what they don't know. They haven't taken the time to be disciplined enough to actually learn new things about themselves first. Learn how other people think, how other people feel. Maybe you're not an empath, but you can at least learn how people feel, how people think. Talk to people. If you don't want to talk to people, listen. I did that a lot. I went through a phase when I started working on myself big time, being committed to it, where I didn't talk. I just listened. I soaked it all in. I just started people watching. I used to hate people watching. Now I do it all the time. It's interesting. Everybody is going through stuff. You're not alone. It feels like you're alone, but you're not. Every person you meet, they're struggling with something. Some people just deal with it better than others. I struggle with it every day. I just deal with it better than others. I know what I have to do when I start getting down on myself. I know what I have to do when I start feeling a negative person enter my life. I know what it feels like to walk away from something and how good it feels when you've made that decision to do it. It can be in the smallest moment or the biggest moment. But it's the best feeling in the world when you know you can move on from something and you still be fine because you don't need anyone else. Unless that person is worthy of you. There will always be people out there that you meet that you probably pass up every single day that would enhance the value of your self-worth every single time you meet them, if you just talk to them. But you'll never know unless you break the pattern. If there's people out there that you just refuse to talk to for whatever reason, or if there's people out there that have tried to communicate with you and you just kind of don't understand why these people are talking to you, maybe there's a reason why they're talking to you. Maybe there's a reason why they're coming into your life. Not every person is bad. Not every person has bad intent. Some people are working on themselves, just like you are. And they're worthy of your life. But you'll never know it unless you break the patterns and start working on yourself and truly committing to working on yourself. Getting yourself into the mindset every day that you won't settle for anything less than what you're worthy of. Because if you don't do that, people will pick up on it. That's one thing people across the board have the intuition to do. They can pick up on weaknesses far greater than they can pick up on strengths. Sometimes strengths get dismissed, but people love weakness because they can exploit weakness. People fear, in a way, people with strength because you can't exploit them. They can't hide. They can't be fake around you. When you love yourself, you'll notice that. That's one of the biggest changes I've had was the respect level for me. I used to go through a period of time where people didn't respect me at all because I was weak. They were just interested in me to exploit my weaknesses. And a lot of times I knew it and I just allowed it anyway because I didn't know what to do about it. It was just a pattern I was stuck in. I was too afraid of change. I was too afraid to be assertive for what the things I knew I wanted in life. Things I knew that would make me happy, I was not ever assertive about. Until I made the decision, no more. It's time to break loose of this. And ever since I did that, I don't even recognize myself sometimes. My behavior, everything. I could care less what people think about me. Because I know inside who I am. And I know who and what I want in my life. Nothing else matters. As long as I'm bringing value to other people's lives and I continue to help people and I try to be brutally honest with people about who I am, I know if I do that, they will in return do the same to me, or they'll walk away from me and they'll be intimidated by it and they won't talk to me, which is fine. I don't want those people in my life. You don't want people in your life who are always running from you. You want people in your life who are coming towards you. I've said it many times. Never invest in anyone who is not invested in you. That goes back to self-discipline and self-worth. If somebody is walking away from you constantly when you're trying to change who you are, that's a red flag. There's something you're doing that's right. And there's something that person is scared of. So that relationship needs to be identified and that relationship needs to be examined. Because when you're trying to change yourself and you're trying to self-love and you're trying to work on yourself, and the people you thought would be happy for you, the people you thought would be drawn towards you, start going the opposite direction, red flag on that relationship. Red flag on that workplace. Red flag on that material stuff that you have. The things that you want in your life should always come towards you. But you have to prioritize that stuff as well. You can't change everything at once. So you're going to be going through cycles of this pattern over here, this pattern over here, this pattern over here. You can pick and choose which pattern you want to take care of, but you have to prioritize it. Which one is more important to you at that particular time? I always say you prioritize with yourself first, but you can branch out. It's your life. That's the funny thing about all this, is that nobody can really tell you how to improve your life but you. But one thing that is constant is that the only way you can improve your life is if you make the decision and the commitment and be disciplined about it. Start standing up for yourself more. Don't let people run all over you. Don't let people bully you. Don't let people put doubt in your mind because they doubt themselves. Know the people around you better. Start asking them more questions. People are always so quick to ask you questions about yourself during your change. Make sure you're asking them the same questions about themselves. I do it all the time. When somebody asks me why I'm doing something, I always ask them, why aren't you doing it? It's very simple. If somebody asks me, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I'll tell them all the time. I'll either say, why aren't you doing it? Or I'll say, because you're not doing it. I'm doing this because you're not. Somebody has to get better in life. Somebody has to walk around with some type of mindset to break down barriers. Otherwise, where are your innovators in life? Where are your people you're going to be inspired by if everybody just is content with being content? If everybody surrounds themselves with people who are not worthy to be in their lives, you have to have some people, leaders, who are going to not only step out of those patterns, but they're going to wave their hands and say, I'm not doing this to be selfish. I'm doing this because I want to help as many people as I can to come over here with me. Self-worth spreads. It blossoms, it blooms. You will inevitably make other people's lives better. I know that. I do it without even trying. My positive energy and my outlook on life has helped so many people. There are people that I know right now that had no confidence. They have no idea that I've been working on them in a way because they like being around me because of my positive energy. Because I don't judge them. That I want them to feel like they have value. And that value is going to bring some level of trust for themselves to break free of patterns. They can see if he did it, anybody can do it. And that's true. If I could do it, anybody could do it. You start within, you work your way out. Give off positive energy, help other people. That energy will return to you. If no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.